So we're going to have to tell this thing to stop because it's got a 20-minute limit on file
20
size.
minutes or so. How long is
20
this going to
minutes.
be? And who's going to see this? How is this pertinent to
Oh, that's a good
the
question.
4-hour party?
Um, this is just something I've wanted to do for a long time.
And he's going to do it, and that's the way it is.
Hello. Go ahead. Say something.
Hello, can you hear me? Are you there? Mo is looking at, yes, I'm talking, my lips are moving.
I know they're looking at me. Or you.
Are you
we look
looking
at the
at
microphone.
me? Are you looking at me?
We can look at Compact. We can look at Michael and his earphones. We can look at Mo sitting here like a studio star.
Yes, she looks like the
She's
intern.
The studio.
David
She's
Letterman's
in the
intern.
director chair. She's in the director chair, and it should say director on the back.
We need one of those signs where you go,
And
action.
yeah, right. Yes.
Take one.
Take one.
He's
And Michael's
analyzing your voices.
fooling with the electronics.
He's analyzing your
tuning
voices.
in his whatever tuning in, and setting volume, setting treble, setting the mixers.
Okay, we're
Do
going
you
to go
make
for it.
cappuccino over there?
All right. So, what are we here for? We're doing a little interview with you guys today. You can just talk to us.
We'll talk to you.
Good. Hey, what are we doing after the interview today?
Lunch.
We're doing lunch in the corn maze,
Lunch.
if the rain holds off.
Very good. Good. What do we have for lunch?
Jess.
What do we have for lunch?
Cold cuts.
Cold cuts.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. All right. So, let's start off. Hey, Mom, I'd like to know, when were you born? I was born on what date, and what were you like as a child? Where'd you grow up? Just a little.
The year I was born?
Sorry, I was born. Okay.
I was born November 28th, 1938. Oh my God. Almost 71 years ago. In Newark, New Jersey, raised in Irvington. What else? Met Dad when I was 15. He was 16.
But I have a story on that one.
Okay. Well, Dad, when were you born?
September 7th, 1937. It was a very nice year, nice year. Also in St. Barnabas Hospital, Newark, New Jersey. Also lived in Irvington, New Jersey, all my life, and that's what that's about.
Good. So you started saying about when you first met. So before the first date, even, tell me.
Well, one of your questions was.
Oh, hold on. Let me stop talking so we got clear, because I don't want to be on the tape. Okay. And then don't tell me about my questions. Okay. You can say that in mine. One is good, and say.
Well, I was prompting you to ask that question.
Okay. Go ahead. Well, you know where we're going. Go ahead. What?
One of the things was it love at first sight?
Was it love at first sight?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, not only was it love at first sight, it was more than love at first sight. It was destiny. It was fate. It was. Why was that so? Well, let me tell you why that was so. Jan and I, born in the same hospital, lived in Irvington, New Jersey for 16, 17 years, never knew each other, never met each other, probably not lived more than about a mile away from each other. Went to the same grammar school, St. Leo's, never a year apart, never knew each other, never met. Went to the same high school, a year apart, never knew each other, never met. And then fate came along, or somebody up there came along and said, hey, you guys got a Jan down in Seaside Park with her parents for a 2-week vacation.
Pelican Island.
Pelican Island was where she had the bungalow, or where they rented the bungalow, but Seaside was where you frequented the beach. I happened, just purely coincidentally, happened to be in Seaside with friends for friends, one of which parents had a bungalow in Seaside and invited these people or friends to come down and stay for the weekend, or maybe it was a little bit more than a weekend. Wonderful. So here we are, both in Seaside, and then we go, of course the guys all go to the beach. Jan and her friend, she had a friend with her too, went to the beach, and that is where we met, about 70 miles away from where we lived all of our lives. And we met on the beach, and as I said before, somebody had to be saying, hey, you guys, you're not getting it together. I have to come in here and help. Get together. And we did. And that was it. That was the beginning. That was the beginning of our marriage, right there, right then and there. And it just took off from there. And you can add what you want at this point, if anything.
Well, I guess, well, we were so young that neither one of us was driving. And my parents loved him right away. And
Who was the friend that you had down with you? What,
her
do you
name
remember?
was Barbara Clemens.
Ah.
Hmm.
And did she know one of the fellows that I was with?
I think so, yes,
Charlie Messina?
maybe. Hmm.
Ah, that's
Mhm.
that's how we even got to start talking on the beach when Charlie saw,
Yeah.
you know, his friend.
Mhm.
Okay,
Excellent. So, Daddy,
I'm
great.
done.
That was awesome. Mom, do you remember that first weekend when you first met Dad, and was he just some guy, or what? What was your view
Oh,
of the
I
weekend?
remember it like it was yesterday. I even remember I had this orange blouse on, actually that night, because we met during the day, and that night when all of us went back to the beach, and I had this sleeveless orange blouse on, and we had blankets on the beach, and we were necking right away. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And the first movie we went to, I guess right after that we went to a movie, and it was, I don't remember the name, but it was Jeanette MacDonald and Nelson Eddy, and they were opera singers like, and it was, I think he was a Canadian mounted police, very corny. But I remember our first movie, and then we came home from the shore, and we continued to see each other, and that's another story with meeting Aunt Eleanor, because before I met her, she had a appendicitis attack, wound up in the hospital, and I think it was our first date at home, and Andy was like, "Oh my gosh, you're sure? Because I have a date with Jan tonight." And poor Aunt Eleanor is having an emergency appendectomy. Anyway, when I first met her, she was in the hospital, and that's when I first met her. And she wanted to move to Union and get out of Irvington. And Dad said, "Oh no, that can't happen because."
No, that would be too far away. At this point, we're only living about a mile and a
Yeah,
half away from.
right.
So we were in walking distance.
Yeah,
Again, neither of us driving a car yet at this point in
right.
time.
And Dad was like rail thin, and my mother was like, "Oh boy, I can cook for him."
Good. That's where I want to get. This is already amazing. And this is, I don't know how we're going to do it in an hour, but this is just incredible. This is more than I ever expected we were going to get. You guys are doing awesome.
Oh, good.
So now I want to go into the next phase. You've met, and now let's talk a little bit about when Dad met your folks. You were talking already. He was rail thin and all. So start that over. When my folks met Dad, and just take it wherever you want to go.
Okay. Well, when my folks met Dad, it was down in Pelican Island. I can still remember Dad being there. He probably weighed about 120 pounds.
Maybe if I was wet.
And he met my parents, and he's got beet red, just, from nerves and stuff. Of course, Tootie was there, and she's a kidder, and she loosened things up a bit.
Yes, yes. Tootie, you know that Tootie is the jokester, so she did loosen things up right away, and I think we had a good relationship to start. One of the things that Jan's father loved to do was to fish on Barnegat Bay, and of course I enjoyed that being invited to do that. And they had a rowboat there. They would have a rowboat at the bungalow
With a motor.
with a motor. That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I don't know if
Johnson.
it was a Johnson motor. I think the first motor though was 2 horsepower. This one was 5 horsepower when I got
Mhm.
there. So anyway, there was a good relationship, I thought, right off the bat. And as I got to know uh, um Robert Lamb, Jan's father, I had a great deal of respect. He was a very practical individual. He was not afraid to tackle anything around the house, do repair work, construction work, anything around the house. And
Let me just say one thing before I forget. When I was a little girl, in my mind, my father could do anything. In my mind, he could bring back that dead animal and make it alive again. I mean, he was wonderful, and he could do anything.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
And he was very, very creative, inventive. I mean, he was not afraid to tackle any job, and helped us tremendously after we were married and got into our first apartment, preparing the apartment, sanding the floors, working with that. And this goes on and on throughout the entire period of time when we had our first house, etc. But I think I'm getting too far ahead now.
Good, good. This is great. This is great. Um, Dad, so it was love at first sight, but tell us if there was anyone before Mom.
Not really. There
Hold on,
was
hold
no.
on. Start it out. There was
Oh,
or
I'm
wasn't.
sorry. Yeah, all right. Let me start it out. Before I met Mom, there was really no girlfriend per se, romantic girlfriend per se. There were friends, and there were girls. There were friends that were girls, and there were friends that were boys. And I guess I would have to categorize them more as acquaintances than. But they were good friends. We would pal around together, hang around together. But I wasn't one out dating or anything of that nature prior to Mom.
I was. I had several boyfriends before Dad. Mm-hmm. And
Wow.
my parents didn't like them. I shouldn't say this on camera, but I won't. I should say it because, well, the one fellow, he was Italian. And back then, people were very prejudiced against other nationalities and stuff. And he would come around, and my father would say to me, "Yeah, why doesn't he pick on? Uh, uh, now, why do they always pick on a white girl?" anyway, then Dad was it. Yep.
Very good. Very good. Um, so, Dad, you already answered this one, but you can do it a little bit again, and then we'll lead into Mom. When you knew it was turning into something serious, and when you decided to go steady, it sounds like for you it was from the right instance. So you can just kind of state whatever you want to state there, and then Mom. We haven't really heard from you yet of how quickly this was. You know, we now know that you had some other boyfriends. You're making out with this guy on the beach. You know, what? So,
I was a trollop. Not really.
How did I don't remember the question. How
okay,
did
so something along the lines. Well, as I said, for me, I knew right from the beginning that Jan was the one,
Oh,
and then
oh.
right away we're going to go to Mom and let Mom.
Okay. All right. So for me, our relationship, or I knew right from the beginning that this was the girl, and just had to let it grow and materialize, and we were going to get married.
And I think it took me a little longer, but as the time went on, and with Andy's, he had such strong uh, morals, and he was good, and he was fun, and it was it turned into love. It really did.
Awesome.
And it didn't hurt that my parents were crazy about him. So much that one time I was in tears because they cared more for him than for me. He could do no wrong. But that's nice, you know.
And Dad, what? Tell us a little bit about my nan. You know, Pearl and Robert, however we called them back then, with their mom and dad. What? This is before you're even engaged. You're dating, and you know what? Tell us about them.
Um, when we first got together, I think in the early going, I was still referring to Jan's parents as Mr. and Mrs. Lamb. Formally, Mrs. Lamb, Mr. Lamb, and then gradually, I guess I don't even know if I ever really got to call them by their first name, Pearl and Bob.
No, you never did. And
Never did.
And you really didn't call them mom and dad. It was like Karen was born and then he came down on Pop Pop. That's how
That's how that's how that name stuck, and
Mm-hmm.
it also stuck on us too because we're Nana and Papa. But that's where it originated from. But yet their relationship was very friendly, very good. I think it was already mentioned that Jan's mother, really tried to fatten me up. I think, and she was a good cook. She made wonderful stuff. Descent-wise, we're talking about German, so we had sauerbraten and we had Kartoffelglaze and we had all of this wonderful, wonderful ethnic food that I hadn't had before that. Oh, since the loss of my parents, Eleanor, my sister, did a good job preparing and cooking food, but it was out of a cookbook kind of a food, and it was good. But I'm talking about ethnic food.
She did a good job finishing raising Andy.
Yes.
She was 19.
Good. Hold on. Let's stop. Hit that. Just hit the red button.